Hey everyone, welcome back. It's Sunil. So in my previous video, we went through the process of saving the access token and your Tesla password on your iCloud drive. However, it's probably not the best practice to keep it there. Though you're the only one with access to your iCloud drive, the files we created are in plain text. What would be ideal is to save everything to Keychain. Keychain is a password management system that's developed by Apple. It's a way to store data securely on your device. It's so secure that Apple themselves don't have access to it. The only problem is that shortcuts by default can't access this. But there's an app for it, and it's called Scriptable, and it's free. Scriptable allows you to write code in JavaScript, but on your iOS device. I questioned whether I wanted to attempt this in my last video since it requires some programming experience. I held out because I wanted to provide folks a way to do this without feeling intimidated. So I decided to do another video for this. And like before, all my examples will be available on my GitHub page for you to use. Before we begin, be sure to hit the subscribe button. And if you like this video in the end, hit the like button as well. Let's get started. So here we are at Scriptable, and we're going to go ahead and click the plus sign to create a new script. We're going to go ahead and create a file that will handle saving and retrieving values to our keychain. I'm going to name this Keychain Manager. Whatever you name it here, that's what the file will be called on your iCloud drive under the Scriptable folder. Here, we'll create two functions. The first one, we will save the JSON object to the keychain. It will iterate through all the keys and save the corresponding values. Our second function will read a list of keys. It will correspond to the values that are stored in Keychain, and then return that key value pair as a JSON object. Let's tackle the first piece. When we save, I'm going to assume we're getting a JSON object. We'll want to iterate through all the key value pairs. Once we do that, we'll set the value for those keys. We'll use the Keychain class. You'll see it has 4 methods. The one we're interested in is in the set method. The set method takes in a key that's a string and a value that's also a string. We know that our keys will always be a string, but our values, they could be anything. For example, it could be a number. So we need to cast it to a string before we call the method. Once we cast it to a string, we can set the value to the key using the set method. Returning the data isn't really necessary at this point. It can help debug when it's being called from a shortcut. The second method we want to create is to get all the values for a list of keys. If you look at the get method of Keychain, you will see that it throws an error if it does not exist. So because of that, we need to check to see if it exists first. We can use the contains method to check if the key exists in Keychain. If the key doesn't exist, we'll just go ahead and set that to no to indicate it doesn't exist. While we're getting the value, we could go ahead and construct a JSON object to return to the shortcut. Now this next step isn't entirely necessary. I'm going to check to see if Siri shortcut is calling the script. It's just good habit to check who's calling, as I could reuse this module within other scripts within Scriptable. The config parameter can be used to tell us if it is the Siri shortcut. Now I need to check to see if I should read or save the data to Keychain when this is being called. When shortcut calls the script, it passes the data through the global variable args. You can pass in any data type into the script, and then you can access that value through the shortcut parameters. Like shortcuts, you can pass in additional data, and we'll use the plain text to figure out whether we want to read or save to and from the keychain. We'll use script.complete to indicate to the shortcuts that we are done and to free up any additional resources they may have consumed. And lastly, I'll export the function so that if I want to use it outside of Siri shortcuts, I can just reuse this file. Now that we're done, let's test this out. We'll go ahead and create a new shortcut, and we'll select a dictionary. Let's add 2 key value pairs. Now let's search for Scriptable and select Keychain Manager. We'll expand this and type save where it says text. So if you run this, you'll see the output coming back as JSON. Congrats, we just wrote those key value pairs to JSON. Now let's go ahead and search for list. We'll enter the keys from above, but we'll also add an extra key to test out what happens if the key doesn't exist in our keychain. Now let's search and select Keychain Manager again from Scriptable. And this time we'll type in read where it says text. Now if we run this, we'll see the values we set above, and we'll see the third key that we set to null. There you go, we just validated that we could save to Keychain and we could also read from Keychain. Now that we validated our script, we can go ahead and update our Authenticate with Tesla shortcut using Keychain. Let's duplicate that shortcut, and we'll name the duplicate Authenticate with Tesla using Keychain. We can go ahead and immediately remove all the get files and save files from this shortcut. Let's search for list, and we'll enter all the variable names here. Now let's search for Scriptable and select Keychain Manager to retrieve all these values. Let's clear out the inputs for the set variables. Now let's press input and choose output through the magic variables. We'll change this to a dictionary and choose key as the email. We'll repeat this process for password, client ID, client secret, access token, refresh token, and create a debt. Now let's search for Keychain Manager and place them both under the network calls. We'll set both of these to save. And that's it, we are done. The only thing left to do is switch our personal automation to use this instead.